Today I'm going to be making a video that I never thought that I would make or would have to make. This video has been a long time in the making. Although I don't speak about my mental health on YouTube, I want to make this video for myself and also for anybody else who may be dealing with something similar. Because I know that right now I would love to have some sort of guide, a hand in the darkness, and I don't have that. And so I hope that this can help somebody else, and if it helps just one person, then that's good enough for me. Those of you who have been on my channel for a while have noticed that over the last four months, I've been very inconsistent, increasingly inconsistent. I will talk about projects, videos that I have in the works coming out that never do. And this video is partially to talk about why that is, and also what is going on with me now. As some of you who may know, who follow me on Instagram, my mama is disabled, and I moved her in with me in December of this past year. And it's been difficult for both of us, her adjusting to living in a new state, and me learning how to be a provider and to be responsible for somebody else, and us working on a relationship. And I wouldn't change it for the world, but I know that that was when I started being less active, because understandably, you know, I'm working 2 jobs, 3 if you count writing the novel, and taking care of my mama, who is the best thing that's ever happened to me. As my patrons know, in May, late April through May, I had a very severe manic episode that lasted for about 6 weeks. It's my longest manic episode to date. I do not have a bipolar diagnosis, but I had a very long manic episode where I wasn't eating. I was up all the time obsessing over plants. During those 6 weeks, I hauled about 70 plants. I was driving all over the Twin Cities. I live in Minnesota, looking for plant deals and rescuing plants. I have a grow area over there. I have plants in there. I've got a grow area over there. And I hope to eventually be making some plant tour content and making a video, giving a plant tour and showing off my beautiful plants. But, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, that episode subsided. That was largely why I wasn't on YouTube April to May, because
I didn't give a fuck about anything besides plants.
If you didn't have chlorophyll, I didn't want to fuck with you at all. I physically could not sit down to film. I couldn't think about YouTube. I didn't think about my booktube friends. the only thing I thought about was plants and just growing and obsessing over life and helping to create life and give life. And I felt like it woke something in me. I felt like I found a purpose through gardening and loving little seedlings and learning about how to take care of these very different species of plants and how to provide habitats for them. And it was so fulfilling and intoxicating. It felt like I was high on serotonin the entire time, and that's why I didn't really do anything. I didn't do anything preventative to stop the episode, because I felt so good. And I thought, okay, well, I could be hurting myself, but I'm not, so this is fine, right? Everything's fine. My manic episode is fine. And then 2 of my family members died in the same week, as y'all who follow me on Instagram or are on my Patreon know. One of them was 73, one was 34. They both died the same week after a 5-year bout with different illnesses. One of my cousins died of lupus. She just had a child. And the other one was my abuelita's younger sister, who died of lung cancer. It was hard, to say the least, saying goodbye to their corporeal forms, knowing that I wouldn't see them the same way in this lifetime, knowing that it would be a very long time, God willing, before I got to see them again. And that hit me really hard. And after that, everything got worse. I would be driving and I wouldn't remember where I was going. I put a can of Raid in the fridge. I didn't film for 3 weeks, even though I wanted to film, because I could not find this camera. I could not find my camera, and I always put it in the same spot, and I couldn't find it. I thought someone had broken into my house and stolen it. I thought that I was losing my mind, and I didn't understand why somebody would steal my camera but nothing else in the house. And
Also, how the fuck did they get past the dog?
I found my camera about a week ago in an empty candle holder shoved underneath the radiator. And I only even found it because I was dusting or some sort of cleaning, and I saw it. And I've been losing things like that constantly. I just lost my phone for the second time. I lost it, I think, in May. I had to pay to have that replaced, and now I'm using my old phone, but I left it somewhere and it's gone. I've been leaving things places that they shouldn't be, putting things away places that they never go. And I've been having these episodes where it feels like everything that I am is slipping away. I'll be talking, and in the middle of a sentence, I'll forget what I'm saying. I have these moments where sometimes I don't even feel real. I have these moments where when I'm writing, when I'm working on my book, the characters feel more real than I do. And I knew that something was wrong. I could feel it. I could feel it in my brain. I could feel that something wasn't right, that it wasn't normal. And I tried to get a hold of a psychiatrist and to figure out, is it mental? I realized that I needed help after I survived 2 to 2.5 suicide attempts in the span of 2 weeks. These attempts I don't remember, but I remember the aftermath. The first time, I won't go into details, but the first time EMS was called, and I didn't know that there would be police officers. I didn't realize that somebody was coming. I think on some level I must have known, but I didn't. And Akasha almost died. She almost got shot because there were 2 police officers who came to my home. One came up the front and one walked up the back door. So I'm in the middle of an episode. I walk out of my room. All of a sudden there's a man in the doorway. Akasha's never seen this man before, so she attacks him. So my Belgian Shepherd instantly attacked a police officer. And I saw him reach for his hip, and I don't think I've ever moved so fast in my fucking life. Lost my train of thought. Long story short, she didn't get shot, but, and neither did I. Those of you who've been following me for a while have seen my scars. They're very old. I started harming when I was 10, I think, 10 or 11. And I booked an appointment with a doctor. I see her next week, and I'm very, very excited, but she is going to order some MRIs and get my brain looked at and figure out and she's gonna try and help me figure out if the issue is in my brain or if it's in my brain, if you know what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm not even coherent. I can't remember things that I read, and those of you who know me know that like ever since I was little, I can tell you what year a book came out. I can tell you all of the characters, even the side characters in a book. I don't forget things in books, and I can't remember anything. I can't remember anything. And sometimes I'm worried that I'm gonna wake up and I'm just not gonna be me anymore. And I don't know who I am without my memories. I've lived with short-term memory loss for many, many, many years now. And PTSD impacts the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that helps with, one of the parts of the brain that helps with memory storage. So my whole life, I have had memory issues. I've known that. It's not a big deal. I've learned how to compensate. I have learned how to seem like I'm just spacey or quirky, when in reality, there are certain things that my brain just instantly deletes or fails to record. Certain kinds of memories just don't get made for me. A lot of people don't realize, people who don't have severe memory issues don't realize how debilitating it can be, how difficult even taking meds are. I know people love saying, well, just set alarms, set alerts. No, that suggestion is not as helpful as you think it is.
I still try.
Because of everything that's going on, I've been far less consistent on my Patreon than I should be. And I've definitely lost a lot of patrons, which I fucking would have left me too. It's not even about losing the patrons, it's the fact that even with my Patreon, I can't get it together. I struggle to remember dates, even with my calendars and my alarm set and my alerts. I struggle to remember. I've been having trouble waking up. I've just been struggling. I have had co-occurring mental illness and functioning invisible disabilities my entire life. When I first started seeing a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist as an adult, they both said that they were stunned at the amount of coping mechanisms that I had created to deal with the things that I was dealing with, and that they were surprised that I had survived this long without medication. And my memory issues that I'm having are what I was like before my meds, but now it's worse. And all of a sudden it's like my meds aren't working. I'm taking a mood stabilizer and I'm taking an antidepressant, and I'm basically maxed out dosage on both of them. I've been on them for many years, and they are the only way that I function. I'm so grateful for them, and I definitely do not need anybody in the comments saying just stop taking your medication and like meditate. Like, it's not as helpful as you think it is. Before I went on my meds, I wanted to die every day. I was not functioning. I couldn't remember anything. I was in a fog. I felt like I was liminal every day. I am not one of those people that can be without meds. I would love to, but I can't, and that is something that I'm just accepting about my disabilities, about my disorders. It's interesting because people wouldn't tell someone who's diabetic to just stop taking their meds and meditate. They wouldn't do that if you had any other kind of illness that lived anywhere but in your brain. When it comes to medication, there's this idea that these things aren't critical, that you just need better willpower, that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just find that idea so ableist and toxic positivity and just devastating, because it kills people. The belief that I didn't need medication almost killed me once, and I'm not ever going to deal with that again. Don't get me wrong, meds are not for everybody. Not everybody needs to be medicated. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying some people do, and I'm fucking one of them. Again, where is this train of thought? Where is it going? I knew that I needed help, especially after I opened my, especially after the Raid, the can of Raid in the fridge thing, the camera under the radiator. After I was driving, I was on 94 West, and all of a sudden I couldn't remember where I was going. I remembered getting in the car, I remembered driving, but there was just this moment where it's like I came to and I didn't know where. So, and then it kicked in, but my brain, even at my worst, was never ever like that. It was never that bad, or maybe it was and I just don't remember, but I know that I knew something was wrong. I knew it in my gut, and I was calling my mom. I was like telling a few friends, like, hey, something's wrong and I don't know what it is. You know, and they were like, oh, you know, it's stress, it's this, it's that, you lost a couple people, like, etc. I did experience a sexual assault recently. I think it was about a month ago now. But it didn't feel like that explained all of the problems that I've been having, the extent, the 6-week-long manic episode, which came before that, everything. The way that I just haven't been able to film, the way that I've been so fucked that I couldn't even remember where my camera was. It took me an hour and a half to find the battery charger to this camera today to even film this video. I knew that it wasn't that simple. I knew that it was I either have some sort of fucking tumor in my brain or I'm going crazy. I just knew it. I just knew it. I knew it in my gut. I tried to ignore the signs. I couldn't. I knew something was wrong. And a couple days ago, I went to my other job, and apparently I blacked out, and I had to be restrained by 2 people, and obviously I'm fired. When my boss called me and told me what happened, I thought she was talking about somebody else. I thought she had somehow made a mistake, and she even said to me, she's like, I've never seen that side of you. I don't know who that was. She said that if she hadn't seen it for herself, she wouldn't have believed it. And I have absolutely no memory. I remember everything up until then, and I remember after, but nothing in the middle. It's like, it's not even like a black space. It's like a complete absence of self. You probably won't meet many people that are more self-aware than I am, and that sounds so fucking full of myself, but allow me to explain. My mom is an amazing parent and did absolutely the best that she could and still continues to do so. When I was little, she lived with DID, she still does, but her DID wasn't in the stable place that she is with it now. There was a lot of chaos and things in the house that I know she would have done differently. And because of that, and it's not to do with that, my mother's very open about having DID, so don't worry, I'm not outing her, but I wouldn't change a damn thing about my mom. I don't give a fuck that my mom's crazy. I'm crazy. Even as a little kid, it never bothered me. Like when she would do things, even when one of her alters would do things that felt, I never blamed her for anything that ever happened, but it did create in me this like hyper focus on my actions, analyzing my behaviors, analyzing the consequences of my actions. From the time that I turned 18 up mainly through college, I saw a therapist every week just to make sure I wasn't crazy, but because I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't developing DID. It was like my biggest fear my whole life, and usually you won't see DID after the age of 27. And so I was just like crawling towards my 27th birthday. It was my biggest fear. I was just so fucking scared that I would lose. In order to get back, so it was a cycle that I wanted to break. There's a lot of mental illness in my family. There's a lot of history of trauma, and I just wanted not to be better, because there's nothing wrong with having those things, but I wanted to do everything in my power. I wanted to exhaust all of my options to prevent that illness from unfolding in me. It was the reason why I didn't do drugs as a kid. I didn't touch weed because it's a hallucinogen, and I was scared that I would have a schizophrenic episode and that would trigger it. I didn't drink to excess. I didn't start drinking until later on in my adulthood, not seriously anyway. A lot of good that did. So after that episode that I had at work, I called the nurse line, the line to my health insurance back. That's right, I forgot to tell you guys that. Once I realized that something was off, like the camera thing, I think that was when I was like, okay, I need to fucking call a doctor, like something is off. And they got me in for a general practitioner visit, and they're gonna do all the fun brain scans and all that fun stuff, but they couldn't get me into psychiatry until September. And so they were like, we're gonna put you on a wait list and we'll call you back if anything comes up sooner. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That evening when I went to work, I had my freak out, I had my episode, whatever you wanna call it. I came home, my neighbors saw me trying to jump out of a window, like hanging out of a window. Half naked at that, so that's exciting. I trashed the house. I took a bookcase, which I vaguely remember, and I just, what's the word? Tilted it.
I fucking threw the bookcase on the floor. Fuck.
I'm scared of hurting someone that I love, or just, I'm scared to be around people because I don't trust myself anymore. I still keep trying to the good news is I did get approved for an antipsychotic that I used to take years ago when my eating issues developed. It's called olanzapine. It is what is given a lot of times to anorexics to help with their hunger, and it has a great side effect of helping suicidality. And I used to take it in emergencies, and the next day I was always just perfectly reset, and it was so good for me and wonderful, and I'm just really, really grateful that I have that. But if like anything else happens, I just feel like I need to go check myself into the hospital. But I'm nervous about that because like no one can care for Akasha, and my mother doesn't drive. She's completely dependent on me. Like I physically can't afford to be crazy right now. Again, I'm so sorry if this video is incoherent. I'm literally doing my best. So I was throwing books out the window. I'm doing my best. My best still doesn't feel like it's good enough, but I'm really fucking trying. What is being said as of right now is in order to kind of get, like, the healthcare system that we have is just obviously just terribly fucked, that things are being booked out so late. I know that there's a shortage of psychiatrists, but like, what are a person's options when they're having an active mental health crisis, crises, and they can't get in to see somebody? I'm just grateful to have health insurance at all, to be honest. The thing that I have been doing for the last few years, because the antipsychotic is like really heavy, it makes me really tired, even though it has great other benefits. But I've been using edibles. Edibles have been my go-to for my eating issues, but I had to stop them because I can't have any kind of hallucinogen in my system. I just can't risk it. I am going like completely sober, like no alcohol, no weed. I can't do it. And it sucks because marijuana has been like just a huge fucking lifesaver for me, you know? But other people's safety is far more important. I just fought so hard over the last 5 years to get my brain into a good spot. I've worked so hard to be healthy and to surround myself with love and light and things that I love doing that are good for me. Yoga and working out and reading and poetry and having hobbies, and I just feel like it's all slowly slipping away. It's like I feel like I'm trying to hold on to water. So my temporary working diagnosis so that I could get my meds is Dissociative Identity Disorder, which they felt comfortable giving me, considering that I have a history of DID in my family. But I don't feel that that's right, because I know what DID looks like. I know better than most people. And if you have only seen movies like Split and Fight Club, if you like everything that you know about multiple personality disorder, DID, etc., I think it has a new name now too, but if all that you know about split personality disorder is from movies and TV shows, you know nothing, because those portrayals are absolute trash. Like, it's absolutely nothing like that. It's absolutely nothing like that, not even close. Nobody knows what's fucking wrong, and we won't until I can get some scans done. They said that after I had my episode that I walked into another room, and then I walked back and I was talking like everything was normal and like nothing happened. And that I don't remember either. And I know that me changing orientation is a trigger for my memory issues, such as I can be holding this and going to put it on the kitchen counter. If the kitchen counter is behind me and I turn around, my brain empties. The memory of what happened before I moved is just gone. So normally I have to move very, very slowly if I am trying to remember something important, but I have a hyperactive brain. I do not like doing things slow. It's not natural for me. I don't like like when I watch YouTube, I have to speed up almost everybody because the amount, like the slow way most people talk is just maddening to my brain. It hates it. It just can't stand it. It can't stand it. This is why I'm partially very, very reliant on captions. I just can't listen to people talk at a certain speed. It's the same with my audiobooks. My brain can't handle it. It makes my skin itch. It's really weird. I've been like that like my whole life. And I just chalked it up to me being neurodiverse. It is what it is. But everything is different now. I just don't have a violent bone in my body. It's just not me. And so the fact that I had to be restrained is I was in a fight once. I was 14, and it was after I'd been bullied by the same girl for about 3 years, and my mom sat me down and was like, Jessie, the school's not gonna do anything to protect you. Like, we've already tried. My mom was like,
go whoop her fucking ass. Like, problem's gonna be solved.
So I did, and I felt guilty about beating up my bully for like 10 years, and I felt so guilty about it that I let her tell everybody at school that she won, even though like I didn't have a scratch on me and her face was fucked up, you know what I'm saying? All of this to say, like, that was the last time I've even kind of come close to putting my hands on somebody physically. It's just not the way my brain works. When I'm upset, I'm far more likely to hurt myself more than anyone else. That scares me. It scares me to my core. I was saying earlier, I think that you probably won't meet a more self-aware person than me because I decided when I was a little kid, like impossibly small, that I was gonna grow up and I was gonna be so meticulous about my actions and how I treated people and my mental health. That's why I have like a million journals for tracking a million different things that I do and say. It's honestly the reason why I care about social wellness so much, is because I just naturally analyze everything and I can't help it. And that person, so long story short, DID is my temporary, I don't agree with that diagnosis, but it is what it is for now. Those of you who know me well in my personal life, or who are patrons, or who follow me on Instagram, know that I actually always use a plural form of address for myself in my personal life, always. When I was a little kid, and I mean like little, we always said us and y'all and our in our head for ourselves, always. It wasn't until I think I was about 6 that I realized that that was weird or bad or crazy, so I stopped doing it. But like, ever since I could first think, there's always been more than one of me. It's an ancestral worship thing for me. Ever since I was little, I have always spoken to my ancestors. It's just how I've always been, and my mom has the same thing. And you absolutely can have both. You can absolutely have ancestral spirit selves, etc., as well as also DID, which is like what my mom has. When I use the plural for myself, and when people use it for me, it's like I'm being spoken to for the first time. It's like somebody sees and understands and is acknowledging what I actually am. But on YouTube, because people can be so fucking mean and judgmental, I always say me, I always say I, etc. And then on my personal life and Instagram, you'll hear me say y'all, us, our, etc. And so that's why on my live shows, for example, because on my live shows, I'm always just like, fuck it, like I'm live right now, I get to be who I actually am. Sometimes people are like, wait, why is Jessie using a plural for themselves? And I don't like making it a gender thing for me personally, because when I came out, when I finally was just like, fuck this, that is the way my brain works, that is who I've always been, and I started using y'all pronouns, I didn't know a single person who also did. I hadn't heard of it. I hadn't heard of anybody else using a plural form of address for themselves, with the exception of some folks with DID, like my mom does that too. But the reason that I do it is completely different, and is very, very deeply tied to my Afro-Mexican spirituality and heritage and experiences with my non-corporeal elders. My health was never better than when I was doing that, when I was at my ancestral practice religiously, when I was centered. And after the manic episode, that broke. And it feels like something in me is It feels like they're here and I'm here and someone's between us. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds insane, and I hate pathologizing it because there is so much disrespect and lack of understanding for folks that are multiple, but not multiple for reasons of mental illness, who are multiple for reasons of spirituality, other forms of duality. This is something that is not actually, it's not uncommon. It is very much so in America. It sucks that the first time that I'm coming out and speaking about being plural on YouTube is attached to mental illness, because it's not. It just isn't, and I know the difference. I know the difference from me having a visit from an ancestor and what is happening now. Though that is completely new. And just because I haven't spoken about being visited in the way that I am doesn't mean it hasn't been happening since I was little. I know the difference. I know what it feels like. On NB Book Club, I have like a whole graphic pinned to the page on y'all pronouns and we as a form of address, and the very different reasons why somebody might use that. It can be neurodiversity. It can be spiritual worship. It can be so many things. So many things, and people are really freaked out by it. But I heard one of you commented and said that that's a thing in, I think it's Ireland too, where people will just refer to themselves in the plural as just a way of conversing. That it's actually not. It has terrible stigma associated with it, but it doesn't have to. But where I'm going with this is that was a part of the reason why I knew something was wrong, is because I don't feel them anymore. For the first time in my life, I can't feel them. And that's potentially the worst part, because we're all integrated and all of a sudden it's just me, and I feel I want there to be like a wildly rational physical explanation. I almost want them to be like, yeah, you have this like weird little mass that's on this part of your brain and we can remove it and everything's gonna go back to normal. But I don't think that's it. I'm lost. Wanted to come on and talk about why. That's why I've been so inconsistent. And to any patrons who are no longer on the Patreon, I'm so fucking sorry for fucking things up and being inconsistent. I actually, like, even though I haven't been posting on YouTube, I have been posting for my patrons, but like, even keeping up with my Patreon is like, it's just with my brain being the way it is so, it has been like walking through sand with weights on your ankles. And I don't mean to say that in order to imply that I'm not wildly grateful for my patrons and that I wish I didn't have them, that it's a burden to make, none of that, because the content that I'm making for my patrons that I literally have to do is like the only thing that's been getting me out of bed, focused, oriented. You know what I mean? And my relationship with my patrons is everything to me. And so I'm just so fucking grateful for all of y'all who have been patrons, whether it was for a day, a fucking month, whether it's been 2 years, or you know what I mean? It just, I'm grateful. Sometimes I feel like my patrons know me and understand me better than anybody else in the world. I feel like my patrons know and understand me better than I understand myself right now. Even as somebody who is very self-aware, like I said, but I'm not anymore. And so now I'm like really reliant on my friends and family to tell me who I am, because I don't remember, you know? And so today I was looking back at some of the really sweet like notes that y'all have left on Amazon, like wish list packages. And sometimes you guys just write the sweetest things about us, and it's been nice rereading those and remembering that we are a person who cares about others, and we do have our shit together, or we did once, and that we have a lot of love around us even if we can't see it, and that we have a lot of love in our hearts, and that we have influenced people positively. And it's so good to see those physical reminders, because they're not here anymore. And I'm so grateful that I found my camera. I'm gonna be forcing myself to go back to YouTube because A, I no longer have a second job.
You are fired!
And B, because editing vlog footage has always been so helpful for my memories. It's part of the reason why I started YouTube. I think if you watch like one of my earlier videos, and it's probably privated now because it's so cringy, but I said in an earlier video, like right when I started, that the reason I started YouTube was because I wanted a record. I wanted to document. And I don't know if I said it was because I had memory issues, because I've always been very, very private about my memory loss issues, whatever. But that's why. It's because when I see photos, when I see videos, I get this jolt. And I just like, right now I want everything to be on camera at all times, you know, which is part of why I'm making this video. So anyway, that's basically it for now. I don't even know what to say that I haven't. I feel incomplete because I know I wasn't coherent in this video the way that I normally am. That's like one thing. Y'all tell me a lot that you really love how there's a stigma against it with, you know, with black folks, but how articulate I am. Obviously, it makes me feel weird when people call me articulate for reasons that you'll probably be aware of if you're familiar with like the history of black people being called articulate. But I almost always take it as like a compliment coming from you guys because I know what y'all are trying to say. It's very different when someone who watches your channel and knows and just like appreciates you is like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of how articulate you are. And very different from when I'm like at the grocery store and I say something and a random white woman is like,
oh my God, you're so articulate.
Two very different things, you know what I'm saying?
That's always been a reality of who I am. I have always been able to string a sentence together like nobody's business. That's not there anymore. And it feels like my favorite things about myself are slowly being taken away. And I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if it's something that can be fixed. Like, what if they don't find the right meds for me? What if my meds just don't work anymore? What if it's something else? What if it's something that can't be fixed? What if I've left an impossible footprint that I can't erase? I don't know, but thank you for letting me share this. I hope that this is helpful. I want to say that I'm gonna go back to posting 3 times a week and everything's gonna be great from here on out, but I can't say that for sure. I am gonna close this video though by talking about some things that are positive, that I'm really excited about, some things that I'm doing. And I would love it if you guys would comment and let me know cool things that you're doing, things that you've been passionate about, positive things that have happened, just anything, because I could definitely use that. So with my patrons this month, in lieu of a book club pick, mainly because I forgot to put the book club poll up, we're having a summer camp. We're calling it Camp Oregon, and it's called Camp Oregon because my Patreon is Hannibal themed, which means all of the tiers are named after different body parts. So we've got the sweetbreads, we have the arteries, we have the lungs, and then we have the heart. Actually, it's this way. But I'm really excited, and so basically there's just different prompts, and we're gonna be reading summer camp themed books. And I'm not gonna go into the prompts or anything, but I'm really, really excited. We're doing a 72-hour readathon. It's next week. So if anybody's interested and wants to join, please feel free to do so. I will be vlogging for the readathon, of course. But then next month, I'm gonna be having another Camp Oregon in addition to our book club pick, and there's gonna be merch, and I'm just really, really excited about it. This is somewhat inspired by Summerween, which I really wanted to participate in, but obviously that's just not possible for me right now. I'm very, very excited about it. Also, I know that there's a couple of you who bought annotated books off of Pango, and since I'm using my temporary phone, which is a different number than the phone that I lost, I can't log into my Pango and access it. So I've been locked out of it for like 2 weeks now. And if you are one of those people, I'm so fucking sorry. I totally get it if you need to cancel your order, but I cannot even log into my Pango right now until my replacement phone comes, and it probably will be here in a couple days. I've been gardening. Oh my God, today I'm going over to my mom's house. I'm picking up my mom's meds, my meds, and then I'm going to her house, and she made me all of the comfort food. She made me fajita, she made me menudo, she made me frijoles, and she made pork belly for herself basically. But that was one thing that got me through was her cooking. Her cooking does something for me, and it always resets me. Other Mexicanos, African Americanos, let me know if you're like that too with your family's food. My mother's food has the ability to heal, and it gets me right every time, so I'm very excited. I'm having a crisis, and it's gonna be okay. Thank you so much for watching this video. There's a playlist down below if you want to check any of my other videos out. I do have some other stuff, projects coming up, but you know what? I'm not even gonna tell you about them. I'm just gonna upload and do them. And also, those of you who've been following me on Instagram and have like sent really touching DMs asking if I'm okay because I've been absent, I really appreciate that. And if I ever am absent, please feel free to do that, because it helps remind me that there are people who notice if I don't post, which is like wild to me, because even though I know there's 35,000 of you, you know, in my head, like, no one watches my YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a YouTuber imposter syndrome thing or whatever. I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna go eat some food. Bye.